Hello and welcome to SkoodSports here on a humid Friday evening in Boston, Massachusetts. I am John Scoodress bringing you SkoodSports, the SkoodSports show here today. And we have a lot to talk about, to say the least, because over the last couple of days we've had not only Stanley Cup Final Game 2, where the Washington Capitals even the series up at 1-1 heading back to our nation's capital, but we also had the Philadelphia Phillies split the series with the Los Angeles Dodgers 2-2 thanks to Aaron Nola's spectacular performance against Clayton Kershaw and those LA men on Thursday. But first, we begin with Game 1 of the NBA Final from Thursday night in Oracle Arena in San Francisco. And to say the least, this one had everything you could hope for, whether it be LeBron James scoring over 50 points, Steph Curry draining half-court three-pointers before the halftime buzzer, or J.R. Smith doing J.R. Smith things. We'll pick things up late in the second half here. Kevin Durant driving with the left hand into the baseline and, drawing the offensive foul as LeBron James, and the Cavaliers will get the ball back. However, just wait. The referee closest to the ball, who called the charging foul, is overturned by the referee farther away. They look at this one on instant replay and say that LeBron's feet were indeed moving. It's arguable whether or not they were, but it's another controversial call by the controversial referees in the NBA. Will the NBA ever escape the concerns that there are biased officials in the league? Well, after the Tim Donaghy scandal about a decade ago, I'm not sure they ever will. And with more calls like this, I'm not sure they ever should. In fact, Donaghy went as far today as going on TMZ Sports and stating that the referees made the wrong call. Even if the referees did disagree on whether it was a charge or a block, one should not have superseded the other, and they should have just had a jump ball between Durant and LeBron James. Donaghy even said that in 2007, when the wrong call was made in the waning minutes of a Hawks Heat game, they went back and replayed those final 2 minutes at a later date, something Donaghy believes should occur for Game 1 of the NBA Final. Of course, that's never going to happen because you'd have too much of an outroar, not only from the Warriors fans, but the media and anybody who spent time watching the final minutes of this one. And I'm not really sure the Cavaliers have a grounds for protest. And that's solely because of the fact they should have won the game anyway if it wasn't for J.R. Smith in the final seconds. We pick it back up very late in the second half as you see Steph Curry driving through the lane and drawing the foul and one on Kevin Love. The free throw put the Warriors up by a point. Eventually, it would be a foul drawn by George Hill. He would go to the line for the Cleveland Cavaliers. After making the first, J.R. Smith reared its ugly head. The rebound by Smith over Durant was impressive, but apparently J.R. doesn't know the score because the game is tied and he could have easily put up a layup in order to give the Cavs a road victory in Game 1. Instead, he pulled it out and ran out of time, and the Cavs would go on to lose in overtime to the Golden State Warriors. Everybody here after Game 1 is wondering what the heck was J.R. Smith thinking. Here's J.R. with his rationale.
Well, George shot a free throw. I got the rebound. We were tie ball game. We had a timeout, and I was trying to get enough space because I obviously can't just standing right there. Trying to get enough space to bring it out to get it, maybe get a shot off, and then I see him. I looked over at Brian. He looked like he was trying to call timeout, so I just stopped, and then the game was over.
What are you, fucking stupid?
So, JR, you expect us to believe that you knew the game was tied, and your rationale for not going right back up with the layup with 4 seconds left, or immediately calling timeout yourself. You know you can do that, right? You can call the timeout as a player. You don't have to have LeBron call it or your coach, Tyronn Lue, call it. Was you were trying to get out into space in order to call the timeout. Makes absolutely no sense. You'd probably be better off just telling the truth, coming right out and saying, yeah, I had no idea the game was tied, which is pretty stupid, Game 1 of the NBA Finals, but, well, as we know, JR is no Mensa member.
I'm not a smart man.
It's okay, JR. You only cost your team Game 1 of a best-of-7 against one of the best constructed teams of all time. I'm sure you won't come back to regret that decision. And I'm sure LeBron James, who looked like he was trying to find ways to knock you the F out last night, is really going to reconsider leaving Cleveland now after he realizes and continues to realize just how much a dumpster fire is surrounding him in the mistake by the lake. But that is enough for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Warriors lead it 1-0, probably on their way to a series victory now. But if LeBron James is going to will his team back, he's going to need to put J.R. Smith through a little schooling the rest of the way. We move on to Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, where the Washington Capitals even things up against the Vegas Golden Knights at one game apiece, stealing one from Nevada, something I said in our preview of the series that they had to do if they hoped to triumph and win their first Stanley Cup Final. Well, they got their first ever Stanley Cup Final game victory. Amazing to think a team that came into the league in 1974 has never won a game in the Stanley Cup Final, but that was the case for Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals. Dale Hunter never did it. Olaf Kolzig never did it, as he and the Capitals were swept 20 years ago by the Red Wings. But the Great Eight has done it, along with some help from Braden Holtby. Let's take a look at the highlights of the Capitals' 3-2 Game 2 victory from Vegas. We begin with the snipe to start it all. James Neal from the near side circle for the Golden Knights gets the crowd on their feet, and an assist from Lucas Sabisa and Colin Miller, a former Flyer and former Bruin, getting the assist in this one as James Neal snipes it past the far side arm of the netminder Braden Holtby to give the Golden Knights a 1-0 lead. Late in the first period, the Capitals answer and even it up on an assist from Michael Kempny as he finds former Montreal Canadian Lars Eller for Eller's 6th of the postseason. In the second period, a power play goal from Alexander Ovechkin. What a beautiful passing play this was. Tic-tac-toe as Ovechkin taps it through on the one-timer from the far side pass of Lars Eller. What a day for Eller, a goal and 2 primary assists as the Capitals take a 2-1 lead. Caps would get a little bit of a cushion on Brooks Orpik's first goal of the postseason as the former Pittsburgh Penguin gets it and snipes it right past his former Pittsburgh teammate Marc-Andre Fleury. Eller and Burakovsky would get assists on this one as Orpik makes it 3-1. Late in the second period, this power play goal from Shea Theodore on an assist from Riley Smith and William Karlsson puts the Knights back within 1 at home as Theodore snipes it right through a screened Braden Holtby. However, it was Holtby who'd get the last laugh as the much beleaguered goalie heading into the postseason continued to prove he may be the man to lead Washington to their first Stanley Cup with this unbelievable stick save on a beautiful pass to the far side as he stones the Vegas Golden Knights and keeps the game tied at 3-2. Washington would go on to win it 3-2 and even the series up at 1-1 with the victory in Game 2. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final is Saturday night from our nation's capital as the Knights and the Capitals look to decide who will take home Lord Stanley's Shrine. We'll wrap things up with a bow here on SkoodSports just by hitting on the Philadelphia Phillies, who got a 2-1 triumph last night in order to salvage a 2-2 series split with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jorge Alfaro had both RBI for the Phils, his 12th and 13th, including the game-winning RBI on a double that scored Scott Kingery in the 7th inning. This was the return of Clayton Kershaw to the mound after he came back from the DL. Clayton went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, just 1 run, and struck out 5. However, he did not factor into the decision. The ultimate winner in this one, Aaron Nola, who went 7 innings, gave up just 2 hits and 1 run while striking out 7, including all 7 of them coming in the 5th inning or later, as the Fightin' Phils improved to 31-23. They are battling again for first place. The only concern right now for them is perhaps their bullpen, which has really struggled this year. Sir Anthony Dominguez, though, has been a breath of fresh air. The young right-hander has now gotten 2 saves. He has not allowed an earned run in his big league career, and he seems to be the man that Gabe Kapler relies on when the going gets tough in close games, just like it did on Thursday. Dominguez went 2 innings, did not allow a hit, and struck out 2, as the Fightin' Phils got the victory in this one by the final score of 2-1. As always, want to thank you for tuning in to SkoodSports here on the SkoodSports Show. I'm John Skudras. We'll see you next time, right here on SkoodSports.